We have a lot of things to cover. First, we are going to look into Async JavaScript, and then after that, we are going to move into ES6. And ES6 is a bit topic. It generally takes 2 days. This time we are a bit slow, but anyways, I'm going to cover all of this. Okay, so one sec. Let me open this on my mobile also, and so go and get chat. Okay, a lot of people are chatting and all. Okay, so let's get started, and let me share my screen. Yeah, so the first thing which we are going to do is async JavaScript. So what is async JavaScript? By default, the async is not included in JavaScript. That is in the browser. What is does async means? See, suppose you do a API call. So first thing to understand what is an API. So this is API are the things how the internet works actually. See, when you go to facebook.com or any other site, so you are going to get all of your chats and all of your posts and all. So how you're going to get all of those posts from the Facebook. And if something is always there, it means that it is stored somewhere in the database. So when it is stored somewhere in the database, we don't access directly the database from the front end. So this is something which, like, there are two things in a web development. One is a front end and a back end. So back end engineers, they interact with the database, and from front end we generally don't directly access the back end. There is a way through which we directly access the back end also, that is known as Firebase. That is also something which I have covered advanced. Okay, so that is there, but most of the time there are some API endpoints, like let me show one API endpoint, very popular. Like this JSON placeholder is a site which gives us access to something like fake API, but it is not that fake, it is a real. So suppose they have this very common API endpoint, like this post endpoint is there, which is actually very popular. This post endpoint, it is giving me something like an array of object. It is giving me something like an array of object, and this is the most popular way to get back the data. This is not a website. You hit this API endpoint with something like a fetch API, which we are going to learn today, how to hit it with the fetch API. And there's something known as promises. What are those promises? And also those things we are going to learn now. Okay. So these are API endpoints. You have to hit that. Actually, this all data is stored in the database. This all the data is stored in the database, and backend languages are somewhere like a middleware like a thing. Okay. So this is created in a language known as Node.js, which is a JavaScript language. Okay, JavaScript framework for backend development. Just like React.js is for front end, this is for backend. But front end can be done in vanilla JavaScript also, like the DOM programming which we have done. In that also we can do. Okay, so that is there. And so this is how we create the backend in Node.js. There are other languages for backend also, like Java and all. So most of the time, as I told, we don't directly interact with the database. We have to interact with something known as API endpoint, which will give us the data, and then we'll show that thing. So even for sites like Amazon or all of this thing, as I've told always, that everything is all of the internet works on this API endpoints. Okay, like Amazon. You go to Amazon. Amazon will also be have like this. Okay, clear this screen means what? Screen not clear. Screen is very much clear. I am transmitting at 720p. So I think hope you are seeing it for the first time. You have to go down and increase your quality. It will consume more data, but that is a problem from your side, Ashish, not from this side. Because what happens, by default, YouTube will take the lowest bandwidth, which is like 144p. You have to make it to 720p. Okay, make quality to 720p. Make quality to 720p. It will be all okay, because I am pretty good and I'm watching it on my mobile also. Quality is pretty good. Okay, so that is the, even on my mobile also, it is quality is by default, it is going on 144p. I don't know why. And okay, so it is asking me higher picture quality uses more data. I don't know why auto is going on so light. Okay. Okay, so make it to higher. Okay, and it will be fine. So these things, I think, okay, so that is there. So this fake API endpoint is there. So this is like a fake store API. So store API, like you go to Amazon front page. How do you get all the data? You get all the data through something known as the API endpoint. So the Amazon front end code hits something like this front end data like this, and it will give something like this, and then the front end engineer have written some code that will be shown like this. Again, I'm getting an array of object. Even images are got like that on Amazon. So let us start it soon. Get started with this thing because we have to cover some ES6 also. So we'll start with Async JavaScript. So we have not yet built something. So we will sort of mimic as if we are hitting some API endpoint. So let us do that. And why do we require that thing? First thing is, why do we require async and all? Why cannot we work like that? Okay, without async. So let us see that thing. Okay, so maybe I'll close this one. And this time I have opened JavaScript and output. Okay, that is very important. JavaScript and output I have opened. Till now I have done in this JSbin most of the time JavaScript and console. Okay. Sync JS we are going to do, and suppose I have a const post equal to like this, and title is JS J6 and summary is. I'm also doing an array of object because, as I told, this is the most common way to transfer data in the internet. So I'm also making an array of objects. This post contains the basics. I am at 150%. So please, Ashish, again, I will tell you again, you're watching it for the first time. Do one thing, take your mobile and do it like this. Okay, do it like this, revolve it, and you will be much better. So because of more than 150 pixel, it will be very difficult for me to even see this screen. 150 pixel is way high. I've zoomed 150 pixels, 150% actually. So if you're watching it on a mobile, so please make the mobile rotate and make it whatever, I think, landscape mode. So you should know this many things. Okay, so the next thing which I'm going to do is the DOM basics. This post contains the basics of DOM. So I have this const post. Our post is there, which is like an array of object. So now, as we are going to mimic some API endpoints, means generally when you hit some API endpoint, it takes 1 or 2 seconds to get the data. Most of the API endpoints are not located in India, but in the US. So at least 1 or 2 seconds it will take. Like all servers are mainly located in the US. Okay, so that is there. So function and get post. I have a get posts function. I have a get post function, and inside this I will have a set time out. Set timeout. Yes, and I will have a this. I'll have a let put equal to a string. Okay, so why I'm using this set timeout, because I want to run this function after 1 second, 200 milliseconds. So this is the best way to do a do that thing, like after 1 second. As I've told, the API generally take 1 second to run. So with this we can do it. So now I'm going to write some code which I'm going to explain what I'm doing. So I have a let output, empty string is there. Then I will do this post dot for each, post dot for each. This post, I've taken this post dot for each. So I have told what for each is earlier. So please go through it if you have not done that thing. So post, I am just looking through it, and I have written post instead of this post. This is very important to write this post, but this post I can write item also. So this post I'll write, and I'll do output plus equal to line line post dot title. And okay, in the instead of li, I will take a h3, maybe h3. I will soon explain what I'm doing. E and dollar c post dot summary, and t will end here, and then see what I'm doing. First, even going through this, I will have a console.log of output, because output I'm actually updating, which is initially the empty string is there. Okay, so that is updating. So let me run the get post so that we can know what I'm doing actually. Get post. Okay, so let me also explain it first what I'm doing. So inside this function, this get post, when I run, so it will go here post dot for each post. So each of the object it will take, each of the object in each iteration it will take each object. So first iteration it will take this object. The object output plus equal to means output equal to output plus. So output plus equal to means that output equal to output plus. So it will be like empty string plus this h3 is post or title. The first time it will be like in the inside the s3 js basic will come, and the this post contain the basic of js will come. Then in the next iteration again output plus equal to is there. So output already contains the this one, and it will then again put the next one. So I will get a big string. You'll see what I will get. Let me do a console here instead of opening it there. Okay, so I'll run this thing because I'm calling this get post. So this get post will run after 1 second because 1 second is given. See, I'm getting a very big string of h3 and then p, then again a p, and then a p. So I'm getting this string. So now what I can do, instead of just doing it like this, I will just so show it in the body, like document dot body dot inner html. So I have to take an inner html because inner html interpret those things as h4 as h4 and all those things. So I will do this output, and if I run it, I will after 1 second I'll see this output here. Okay, so output is like the output. Okay, so I will see it here. This is how it will work. So now this is how it works. But now what we need to do, and we'll understand async with that, I will have another function like function create post. It's like post and set time out, and here I'll have a sts dot push and post I'll do, and here I'll pass like 2000 second. And now what is happening again, I have another create post. It is taking some post which I will soon pass, and it is pushing it in this post array, but it is doing it after 2 seconds. That's very important to understand. It is doing after 2 seconds, and this is running after 1 second. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to come here and do a create post, and let me take it from here. Title is Async Basics. This post contain the basics of sync. Okay, async. So now what is there? Now I have a create post. In create post, I'm this anyway function we declare, we have to call it. So create post I'm calling, I'm passing a function here, I'm passing an object here, and that object needed to push in this post. So let us see whether this will work. Okay, run it. It is containing only this thing. It ran after actually 2 seconds. It took 2 seconds, but this post never came here. Why this never came here? So let us understand why this never came. So my function, and now my program ran from top to down. So it did this get post, and it saw that okay, it will run after 1 second, and this create post instantly, and it saw that it will run after 2 seconds. So but after 1 second it ran this thing, and what it ran, and when it ran at that time, I only have these two things at that time. So it showed me that because the output, this documented body or inner html is only shown by this get post, and then after 2 seconds this ran, this inserted this in the post, but this had already run by that time. Get post has already done by that time, so we were never able to show the last thing here. Last thing we were never able to show. So this is a problem because in API call sometimes happens that the API call data is required, or 2-3 API calls are done. So how to do that? So to solve this problem in JavaScript, there are actually 3 ways. One is the callback way, and another is the promise way. In the promise, there are 2 methods. like then and catch block and async await. We are going to look into all those three things. Okay, so first is the callback, and which is like there from the beginning of JavaScript from 1995. It is there, and the next methods have come in 2015 again in the latest ES6, but they are used more. Callback might be seems like easy, but it has got some means issues and all, so that you can find. Okay, so let me do one thing. This I'll do it in another. So JSbin JavaScript and output I'll do, and I will first copy this one, and the first, as I have told, the first method is to known as a callback. So we cannot do this method because it will not anyways run. So what we are going to do here we are not going to call this get post like this. Okay, but what we are going to do, we are going to pass this as a second parameter here, get post. Okay, get post, I'm going to pass the second parameter. So now it has got two parameters, this create post. One is this post and one is this function. We are passing a function. JavaScript we can do that, and this function we can call anything, but mostly we call it a callback. That's why it is known as a callback function. So callback I'll call it. Then post.push of post is done. Okay, then after this I'll do a call back, and I'll call this function. I'll call back and call this function like this. Call back and call this function here. So when I'm calling this function, see now what will happen. Now let us understand again the full thing. It will come here. There is only one function call, which is the call this create post. So you go to create post, and create post taking two parameter. One is the post, second is the callback, which is a reference to this function like get post. So when it come here and it will run after 2 seconds, even though this post runs after 1 second, so it will run after 2 seconds. So first thing is that it will do the post.push post. It will do that, and then after that, this will run. This callback will run. Callback is nothing but something like this, because in the runtime it will be changed like this. So get post will run from here, and now when get post will run, it will contain three things, not two things. Okay, so three things will be there. So let me return it back like this. This is the same thing. I will run it. Okay, that's strange. Yeah, not sometimes this JSbin problem is there. So see, now all the three things have been shown. So this is known as a callback. Okay, so this is known as a callback. Now this is a quite old thing, as I've told, from 1995 it is there. So since 2020 there is something known as promises, and you hear this term a lot. This promises a lot means when it hits some API endpoint, it returns back the promises. But one thing I want to tell, the most of the code which we are doing right now is a backend kind of a code, means like this kind of code. And from the front end, even if you don't understand half of the things which I'm telling right now, the last part is very important to understand, because if you want to just become a front end engineer at first, and as I always say, become front end engineer first, then become a full stack developer by doing Node.js. But if you don't want to do that, and it is pretty much okay, first become a React.js developer. That should be your goal. Become a React.js developer, then only go for Node.js developer and become a full stack developer. So then you don't need to know most of the things which I'm telling right now. Only the last part is required, which is how to use the fetch API. But you should know that when the API result comes, it is through something known as promises. This promise term is very much important, and maybe even if you're going for a front-end developer, this will be asked in the interview. This will definitely asked in the interview. Promises will definitely the interview will ask, even for front-end developer. Okay, so that's why it is very important. JSbin. Maybe if you go for a FANG interview, then they ask only this, DSNL. But in real companies and all, means not real companies, like small companies or service based companies, all this real kind of questions are asked a lot. Okay, promises, I'll do promises. So now we're going to change that callback to a promise. How to do the promise? So this promise thing, we don't have this callback and all. Okay, so callback and all are not there. So first thing is that I'm going to remove this callback thing. Okay, so then how do we solve this issue? So promise is like a, there is a thing known as promise, which was introduced in 2015, and it is like to do promise in real life. So what are promises in real life? You do a promise like I will access daily, then either fulfill the promise or you don't fulfill the promise. Either you reject it or you resolve it. So that is what promises do. if you, and that is like a kind of a function, that is like a function in JavaScript, so that the way to means that syntax is a bit different. So let us come here and do a return new promise, return new promise, and it takes two parameter, resolve comma reject, and then it will, I will do it like this, and I'll put all this set timeout thing, I'll put it all inside this, put it all inside this, indent it back. So this is not my VS Code, so indentation I have to do it by hand. Okay, so promise is like this, it will done. So but the thing with promise is that it have to this resolve and reject is taking, but you to send it back. When we do a promise, it sends something back, it sends either the resolve or the reject back in and one thing I want to tell, this much code will be a Node.js code. So when we send some code from a Node.js back, some promise from Node.js code back, what we do, we have some complicated logic, like something will be done, and then we'll send a resolve, and if something is done, we'll send the reject. But we don't have complicated logic right now, we don't want to learn. So callback also I'll remove. So what we're going to do, we are going to just take a dummy thing like const num equal to 5, and num is greater than 4, and just using a ternary operator, if num is greater than 4, which is it is 5 is greater than 4, then I will send the resolve back, or I will send the reject back, and here I'll write error, something is wrong, like this I'll put. Okay, and now, so now when I send a resolve or a reject back, there is something known as, there are two ways to get this. We are soon going to see another way, which is async await way. So one way is to, and this way was actually introduced in 2015 with the promise only, and that is known as the then and the catch block. So here what I'm going to do, so that semicolon have written up, so I'll have a then block, and then here I will call the get posts, I'll call, and then I will also have a dot catch block. In the catch block I'll have an error, because I will receive this error, and all document dot body dot inner HTML equal to errr. Okay, error I'll do like this. Okay, so this is how it works. So now what will happen, let us run again. So this will run, and this create post will happen, and create post will go here, and it will see that there is a promise, so I have to return something. So when promise is there and this set timeout, it will run after 2 seconds. So it will also push this thing by that time, which is now it will contain 3 items. Then it will come in and see that okay, 5 is greater than 4. Okay, so I have to send the resolve back. So now the thing with promises and this then and catch block is that when the resolve is always mapped with the then, so when resolve throws the ball, then only catches it. So it is predefined, means it is predefined that resolve throws the ball, then only have to catch it. Reject throws the ball, error catch have to catch it. So no other person can catch it, only that person only can catch it. Resolve and then are linked, reject and catch a link. So in this case resolve will be thrown back, so resolve will come. So what I'm doing in resolve, I'm doing a main thing, like in the then part I'm calling the get post. So now I'm calling the get post, so this get post will run, and I'll get all the 3 things. And in 99% of the case, or maybe 90% of the case, anyways resolve will run. So in this case also resolve will done, because reject is not run. In this 100% resolve will only run. So sometime in reject part we do it for the error, some network error or something. Okay, so I will run it, and again it is after 3 seconds it will run, and it will show this thing. So let us now do the error part. So maybe I will do a 4 is greater than 4. 4 is greater than 4 is false, so it will go here, check part. I'll run it, and error, something is wrong, it's been shown. So this is how the then and catch block is done. Okay, so now similar to this we have something known as async await. So let us do, what is async await? Async await is like same only, but this part is different. So for that, I will again copy this and do a JSbin, and here JavaScript output and async await a see async await await. So in async await, what happens? This then and catch concept is not there. Here, what happens? I will first remove this thing, and this create post. There's I have to wrap it in a function. So function init, and like this I have to wrap this in a function. So I will wrap this in a function, and then I will call this function init like this. I'll call this function, and I will run this function. And if I run this function like this, see now it will I don't know why it is not showing. If I run this function like this, okay, okay. And what is there? What is there? It's gone. Okay. No, what? It's not running. Okay, maybe I change it. Okay, so directly show it. So what I need to do here? Yeah. Okay. Anyways, this will not run because there is no get post in it. How it will run? Get posts in it. Okay, get posts in it. It will not show anyways if there is no get post. Let me run it with the get post, and now it will show both of these things because it is again doing that same problem which we were seen earlier, because it is not waiting for this to complete, and this is like doing like this. Okay, and one more thing is that I will make it back to 5 here. Okay, so that's again it will. So in this way, what we do, the function containing our main thing, I'll make this as async, and I will make the function which is the main API call. I will make this as await. So now what will happen? Again, the init will run this thing, and then this create post will run. And there is a await I have written it. It means that wait till this is completed, then only run the next thing. Wait till this is completed. So it will go here. This thing and doesn't matter much. Yes, okay. So resolve will be will be thrown. Okay, and we are going to do the resolve case only. So resolve will be thrown, and it will be like this will complete, and then after that, when this is complete, then only the get post will run. So get post will now get the 3 things. So if I run it like in the async of it, and see, I will get the all the 3 things. So this is how the async await works. And async await was released in 2018. Mostly more people nowadays uses async await, but I feel the use case of both of them at different times. Okay, so as I've told, this kind of code is mainly used in the backend, but this async await something is which we are going to use a lot. So now the most important code in JavaScript till now, and that is what most front-end developers needed to work on. A vanilla JavaScript projects we have started to do. When we will do some API calls on those projects, you see that thing. Means we started with vanilla JavaScript projects. We've already done once. We are doing mainly on Wednesday at 9 a.m. some of the projects and all those things. So if you are not seen, please you can see those things. Okay. So now the main way how to do this thing. Okay. So this JSON placeholder, this post. So this is what the front-end engineer will do. So some API endpoint the backend engineer will give, and we have to hit the API endpoint, get the data. So how to get the data? So we have to use something known as a sync await. So this is a bit different than what we have done. There is a fetch async await fetch API. This is known as fetch API. This we are going to use. So what is this fetch API? If you run fetch API, this was again introduced in around 2015. The fetch API in the browser, from that fetch API we can do the API call. Earlier in jQuery and all, I have not worked that much in jQuery, and they used to have something jQuery.ajax, something like that. So that is like with fetch you can hit any API endpoint. Before React and before 2015 also, people used to hit those API endpoint with jQuery Ajax, something was there. Okay, and fortunately or unfortunately, I have not worked much with jQuery, but that is very fortunate thing because jQuery is gone long back. Okay, so I'll have a function and fetch post. Okay, so we are going to use this way, this async await kind of a way code we are going to use. Okay, so fetch post I'm going to do, and so I have to do, so this fetch API, there is a fetch API, it has got two things. Okay, this promises and all these things is taken care by that only, we don't have to take care about that. There's syntax for the fetch API. Okay, so rest equal to, okay, and I have to make this function as async, because we are going to do some API call generally take 1 or 2 seconds, and this all we have done, this is like mimicking the API call, but now we're going to do the real API call. So rest and await and fetch, and so this API endpoint I have to hit, so I have to copy this thing, come back here, and then like this I have to do this. And then actually in fetch API there are two things come, there are two steps are there. So I'll have a const and posts equal to, because I'm getting the posts from here, await rest.json I have to do. So fetch API, these two lines are because of fetch API, we have to do 2 times await. So that is the format of fetch API. So they might have given somewhere format of fetch API is that fetch method. Okay, so they have given it here, I think. So we have to do this 2 times. Okay, and we can do it. Okay, so they're not giving it correctly. Okay, fetch method. Okay, so there are two ways to do things. One is like async await you can do, and the other is like you can do it with then and catch. So I'm going to do it then and async await, so you can check the code for then and catch also, it is also very easy. So again, so when I do this API endpoint, I have to do await twice, and then only I will get this data back in the browser. This is like a boilerplate code, you can understand. And then once I get the data, okay, let me also show the data. Console.log of post. Okay, and then I will just call this fetch posts. Let me have this console here only, run with JS. Okay, now why it is not coming? I am missing a lot of things today. Okay, okay, it's coming there. So see, all the data is coming like this. Okay, so in the output all the data is post, all the data is coming. So now instead of showing there, I will show in the output, and I will use the same code which we have used till now. So let us not waste time in that, because we have to cover a lot of things. Okay, so I'll use this same code. Okay, so let output, instead of this, let output is I have just pasted it and it has shown the output. Let output and post dot for each output. Actually there are two things only here, one is title and one is body. We don't have any summary here, so title and body and the same thing. So output and empty, this thing is taken, and then I will now run it. So it is coming perfectly, and in fact this uh, 2 lines of code before this output have given, these are the most important line of the code for a front-end developer. So if you omit this thing, okay, this is how you will show in a vanilla JavaScript project or DOM projects. And in React also you'll use these 2 lines only, this all this async away, and then you'll show it in a React way. React also we take, but this time I will take React and I think second, third, okay, after this 4th week I will take React. Okay, so you do this thing will differ, but this thing will be same. So this is how most of the internet works, this is how the front-end engineer works. This is the most important line of code for a front-end developer. Okay, these 2 lines. Okay, there's another thing known as Axios also, which is used to do this thing and all. So this fetch API, the promises and all those things are taken care by it. So this promises and all come by that. Okay, so we are done here with this, and now we will move to ES6 because we have like less time. So let us move to ES6. Okay, ES6 also I'll show it here only. So ES6, one sec, I'll open it here. So what is ES6? ES6 is a modern JavaScript and all, and it is our last topic also. And this is the most important thing. That is the most important. See, I don't have much time to tell a lot of questions because we are running out of time. I have answered a lot of questions, and that's why we are a bit slow. So I don't have much time. Maybe I can answer later on. .json is where did you saw the .json anyway? Okay. .json, yeah, .json is this is the boilerplate code for your async await. This is how you use async await. So nothing much is there. .json is this two lines of code you have to use because it returns back as you can read about it. It returns back a JSON. Then again you have to do that thing. It is not a one step process, and there is lot of complicated stuff which you need to do. But right now you can think of it like this: two things, two lines you have to do, and then only you get the data, or else it's a very complicated thing which is out of the scope right now to tell. Okay, so that is there. So ES6 is there, which we are going to learn, and which is the next generation JavaScript. And React uses all the features of ES6, and that is why, because JavaScript was having a lot of issues, and which I have told, and JavaScript was created in 10 days, and there were a lot of things JavaScript creator also didn't knew that it will be so popular. But for 20 years they did solve all those issues. But in 2015 they added the new features in JavaScript, and they are like very cool features. And all of the frameworks like Angular, React, they took all those features, and they use those features heavily. And ES6 is very easy. It is not a bit complicated like all those things which I've heard. Learn like that. So first we will going to start with this let var and const. Okay, let var and const. And let and var we have already seen. See, some of the ES6 features. Good evening everyone. So some of the ES6 features we have already seen. So those ES6 features which we have already seen, I'm not going to show it again. So like the difference between let and var we have seen. So as I've told, var was from the starting of JavaScript, but let and const were added in 2015. There is a difference between let and var. That var is a functional scope and let is a block scope. So that we know. And then we have seen a const also. Const, once we assign, we cannot change it again. But there is one more very important thing is const, which I want to tell, that const cannot assign new value to variable after the initial declaration for primitive types like integer and string, but we can add value for non-primitive types like array and object. What does that mean? We're going to see now. So I'm going to have a JSbin here, and JavaScript console I'm going to take. Okay, and then here I will have a like, so const, we're going to look at const. So const, we know like we cannot do like const first age equal to 6, and this I have JavaScript and console open. So I cannot do like first age equal to 10. I cannot do like this. This will give me error anyways. This will give me error that it is not allowed. So we cannot do something like this here. Okay, so log off first stage. Will show me diagram. I'm not changing. But what happens if I have something like, maybe I have a array of child ages like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Can I do something like, if I want to add one more child age? So anyways, I cannot do something again like this child ages. Like I want to add the 12 age, so I cannot do something like this 12. It will again give me error. It will again give me error. So this error has been there. So it will give me error. But what can I do then? How can I add in this array? So anyways, we never add in an array in this way. As I've told earlier, when I was teaching array, we add in an array with the array.push method or array.unship, all those methods we do. So here also we can use those methods, and it will give no error. It will give no error. So I'll do a child ages dot push and 12. Now console.log of child ages I'll do, and let it run it, and it will push it correctly. So this is what is allowed. And now let us see something for objects. Objects are also a lot of things. Objects again we cannot directly change, but here objects what we can do, I can either update a key value pair, or I can add a new key value pair. Either I can update a value of a key. So let us see what we can do here. So here I'll do a person obj dot skill equal to react, and person obj dot profession equal to, you know, this, and console dot log of person obj. So now you'll see that skill is updated and new profession has been added. So we can add a key value pair or we can update a key value pair. So that is very popular, easy to do, and that's why most people nowadays use const. They use let only when it is required. See, most of the time we declare a variable or something, we don't change it directly, and arrays we can change like this, so it is more than enough. So that is there. Okay, so that is done. Now the next thing, again I have to go back, and here fat arrow function, we have learned what is fat arrow function when we have seen the fat arrow function. Default parameter is something which is new, which we are going to learn now. Default parameters, and let us where it is, let us do this default parameters. Okay, here only. Okay, so we'll do the default parameters. So default parameters is very important concept, and in it what happens, so let me have a function. So we can have anything like a arrow function or non-function. I prefer to use arrow function. So equal is equal to num1 comma num2 and this, and I want to do a console dot log num1 and console.log of num2. I want to see what is there, and then I'll have a return of num1 equal to num2. Here what we are doing a comparison. So like if a statement and all, we can do direct comparison also. When it will compare num1 with to num2, it will return me some boolean like true or false. It will return. So is equal. That's why the function name is equal. So let us call this function, and because it is returning something, so I have to catch it in a console.log, which we have learned why it is required, because when you return something, you have to catch it in a variable or a console log. So that's why I'm doing it here. So suppose I will do a 10 comma 10, then what will happen here? It will first I'm console logging 10 comma 10, 10 and 10, and num1 and num2, and then I'm printing whatever is this. So it is giving me true because 10 and 10 are equal. If I pass 220 here, then it will be false. Okay, but if I don't pass anything here, what will happen if I don't pass anything here? And actually this is a very common scenario in JavaScript. Not like a Java and all. In Java, C++, it will give me error because I have two parameters, I'm passing one parameter, but it will not give any error. In JavaScript is not that strict. Okay, so if I do something like this, it will be false. It is okay, it is false, but num1 is 10, num2 is undefined because I'm not passing anything, and then it will be false. But I don't, in most of the scenario we don't want something like this. If I don't pass anything, there should be something passed. So in those case, what we do here, we have something known as a default parameter. So here, like this, here I will do 20. So see what will happen. So if I don't pass anything in the second parameter, so it will be, see, 10 and num2 is 20 now, and I am not passing anything, but then also num2 is 20. It is false, it is okay for me. But what will happen if I pass 10 comma 10 here? Here it, run it, see this 10 is going here in num1, that is okay, but num2 20 is not going, 10 is going, means it is overwriting it, and then it is true. So this is coming like this. So this is known as default parameter. Very, very important concept nowadays, and we use this a lot in React, lot. So now the JSbin again I'll do, and JavaScript and console. So now we are going to look into something known as object literal extension and dynamic fields. Okay, so both of them are very cool concept and they are used a lot, means especially this dynamic fields have got some very good uses. Even object literal, it's a shortcut and people just love this shortcut and people uses it a lot. So both of them are different. So what is this object literal extension? In object literals, we now have the extension for a key of an object. What does that mean? So let us understand what does that mean. It is much easier to understand than doing from there, but this is known as object literal. Actually, I also don't remember what it is known as, but I know how to use it. And extensions. Okay, so suppose I have a let obj equal to name do comma age. Okay, so I have like this. Okay, so now I want okay, and I will do a console.log of obj. I'll do and clear it and run it. So it will anyways give me this thing. Suppose I want to control this from the outside and I want to give it from the outside, like maybe let named equal to this and let aged equal to 40. Then I will use these variables like named and here this, it will be the same thing, nothing changed. This I'm controlling it from the outside. But the thing is that okay, the named is, it is a horrible thing to take. Why not do the same thing like this? Name and age. Why not? I can do it. So I'll do this, and this is again the normal thing. This is not the object literal extension, and this was allowed in JavaScript since the beginning of JavaScript. But in ES6 there is object literal extension, and I have intentionally done the same thing. Okay, I can remove this thing. So this is not even looking like an object, but this is an object, and this is a shortcut actually. And you see a lot of people use that thing. It is not mandatory to use this thing, but you can use it, and it will again be the same thing. So if the key value pair are the same name, same thing, you can omit one of them. So this is how it works. Okay, this is how the object literal extension is there. Now the next thing is the dynamic fields, which is actually very important in dynamic fields. By dynamic fields, we can assign dynamic value to keys in an object. And this is not an optional kind of thing. This is actually a very important thing. Okay, so I'll have a dynamic fields. Here I will have a, suppose I'll have a let age field equal to age. Actually here I can give the key from the outside. Okay, and let dynamic obj equal to name is comma, and this is a different kind of syntax. I'll have a age field is 50. Okay, then console.log dynamic obj. I will clear it, run it. So dynamically, this is what is dynamic field very important, because I can control the key from outside. This is actually very difficult to control the key from outside before ES6, but with ES6 we can control the key from outside. This format is a bit weird, but we can do these things and control it from outside, and we are going to see an example in React that how it is very much useful in real world scenarios. Like, and I can do anything from it outside. Sometimes from outside it is controlled, we don't even know what will come. Okay, so see, I can do anything here. So like this I can control from the outside, so which is a very powerful thing. So this is the dynamic fields. Okay, that is there. Now we're going to learn about two very important things in ES6, which are like the main things of ES6. Before the last thing is the array helper method, which you're going to see, but most probably we're going to do that tomorrow. So that is the rest and spread operator. You must have heard a lot about this rest and spread operator, and dot things are there. both of them are represented by 3 dots, but both of them means different thing. So what is this rest operators? Okay, what is this rest operator? So rest operator, we can pass argument to a function and it gets converted to an array. So what does that mean? So JSbin, I'll do again, and here I will again do a JavaScript and console, and here I'll do a rest operators, and here let r func equal to, suppose I want something to come here. Okay, so I'm calling this array func with anything like maybe 6, 3, 2, 9, 7. I'm calling it like this, and I want what to be done. I want this parameters can be 5, 6, 7, any number of them it will be there, and I want it to be converted to an array. Actually, it is very difficult to achieve with the normal function. We can write, but at least 20 lines of code will be required. At least 20 lines. I have written codes like that. But with ES6, what happens if I want the argument which is in past date to be converted to an array? I will just write like, yeah, this is not a keyword. I can write anything here, but I will do a dot dot dot. So that is what it is telling here. We pass an argument to function and it gets converted to an array. So if I run it now, see, it will get converted to an array. So this is what the rest operator is all about. But the main thing is like the spread operator. So what is the spread operator? Let us learn a bit about the spread operator. Okay, how much time do we have? Okay, and we have time. If not, we will do it in till mid. Okay, so we'll learn about the spread operator. Spread operator first. So spread operator, again, let me have a function like let a equal to, maybe this one only I'll take. A equal to this, an array is there, and I will actually comment this out so that it doesn't bother us. So spread operator is the opposite of rest operator. Spread operator is the opposite of rest operator. It takes an arrays and convert it into a list of arguments. This is very important. So suppose I have an array like this, and I want to get the minimum of this and the maximum of it. So there is a function in JavaScript known as math.min and math.max. But the problem with those functions are that console.log of math dot min, I cannot pass an array to it. I have to pass like directly like some arguments to it like this, then it gives, okay, then it gives the result. So the problem is that, so it will give the result which is 2, which is correct. 2 is the smallest number a, but I cannot pass an array directly here. It doesn't accept an array directly. So how I can pass this array here? So in normal scenario we cannot pass it, we have to do a lot of logic there. So I can do a and I can do a dot 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 here. So what will happen, that array will come here and get converted into an argument. Let get converted into an arguments like this. And now if I run it again, this 2 is getting similar to this. I will have a math dot max, and clear it. It will give me the max. Okay, it's also time to give the yeah. Market attendance here. Okay, how much time we have? Okay, so now spread operators are used for a very important reason also. Okay, so that reason is like okay, that reason is like there is something in software engineering which is known as your call by value and call by reference, or it is also known as copy by value or copy by reference. This is a very old problem in software engineering, this copy by value and copy by reference. And if you do have done software engineering, you know that means what happens in computers, especially it's a problem with computers. If you assign a value to something, and it will better see it with an example. So first we are going to see, and that problem is solved by spread operator. So copy by reference problem. Copy by reference problem. It's a computer science problem, and all languages have a problem way to solve it. So what happens? Suppose I let have a y. Let have a y, uh, like an array of y equal to, maybe I will add something more here. So 18 comma 13 I will add. Suppose I want to copy this thing, and the most common way I want to copy it in a y variable. So the most common, if I say someone to copy it, so they will create a variable y, and that they will make it equal to x, okay, like this, and they will think, okay, the copy will happen. So I have made this thing, the copy will happen. But see what will happen now. Y dot push of, maybe I'll push 14. Okay, in y I am now pushing 14. Then I'll do a console dot log of y, and console.log of x, and let me comment this out, or else this will also keep coming there. So I clear it and run it. See, both of them have got 14. Y is also having 14, x is also having 14, but I didn't push 14 to x. But why did it gone there? So this is what the problem is, copy by reference. See what happens in computers. I've told it earlier also. You create a variable, or you create an array. There is something in the RAM of the computer. Continuous memory will be taken, and that will be done. So what happens generally in the y, we get the address of the first thing of an array. Get the address, that is known as the MAC address. That is something to do with electronics. So get the first address, MAC address of this 6, it will get. And then when we put y, a new variable equal to x, it will again not copy this thing. It will take the MAC address, and it will make the MAC address, it will give y also the MAC address. So now both of them are become same. If you change something in y, something x will change. If you change something in x, something y will change. So this is not the behavior in 99% cases which you want. We just wanted a simple copy of it, and we want to work it different. We don't want to change the original thing. Never want to change the original thing. This is a very big problem. So this cannot be done in this way. So this is done with the something known as solution with spread, and that solution is copy by value. Okay. So here what will happen, let maybe c equal to, take like this thing, so it is differentiable. So let c equal to like this. Then let d not equal to c, but I will make let d equal to dot 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 c. So if I do this, it will spread it to a arguments, but I don't want it to be, I want it to be spread it to an argument, but I wanted a new array back. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do an array like this. Okay, so I have added in an array, so it will first spread and then put it in an array. So it put it in an array. So now I will do a d dot push of 13, and now console dot log of d, and console dot log of c. See now this thing, even if I comment it out, now see this d has contained this 13, c is untouched, c is now only 18. So we have done a different way. Now we are not doing that reference thing, we are just spreading it and then putting it in an array. So this is how we have a solution with spread. So this is how we should copy always, with a spread only. So this is how we do it here. Okay, so actually we have some more thing like the spread operator to merge one or more arrays, and then how to use it in object. That is something we are going to do tomorrow, because I have a class right now, a bootcamp classes. I have a night bootcamp to take, so that I will take, and we will end here. And we have something to do in ES6 is not, ES6 is the big thing, and ES6 is very much required C. So those things will be done tomorrow, and it will be completed. Don't worry, means a lot of things are remaining, but I will complete those things like template literals, array and object restructuring, classes in ES6 is very important, and array helper method. Those things will be completed tomorrow, and we'll end here, and we'll meet tomorrow for the day 5. Hope you all have filled the attendance form. If not, please fill it. Thank you.